Hello, friends. Welcome to the Truth to You Daily Podcast with Brother Scott. We are thrilled that you have taken time out of your day to explore with us God's timeless truth. Regardless of who we are, we all need the light of God's Word to illuminate our path for this day. And now, here is our youth pastor, Brother Scott.
Hello and welcome back to the podcast. It is Wednesday, February the 1st, and it is Wednesday, which means it's Brother Sam Day.
Oh, it's my day now.
Yeah, it's your day. I mean,
back.
That's what this is all
Yes.
about.
It's been almost a month. It's been a while.
It's been a long
Yeah.
time. It
It actually has been a month, I think.
I think we should probably ask our listeners to bear with us a little bit because
Yes.
we're trying to get back in the routine here, and we apologize if it's a little glitchy.
Yeah.
But
Scraping the rust off, but
It-
don't
right.
tune away. It's going to get better.
No. Hang in there. We've got some really great stuff to talk about. Some stuff that's like right down to everyday life.
Yes, exactly.
And, before we get too far into this,
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, you got something funny to say?
Oh, I always have something funny to say.
Okay.
Well,
What do you got for
it's
us?
funny to me at least. We'll see if you laugh, and even if you laugh, that might not be determining if everybody else
No,
laughs.
well, I guess we'll see.
Because we know your humor is distorted, but
No,
anyway.
well, I appreciate that nice.
Okay, so I
word
did-
there.
I do have.
What you got?
I do have one, and this was actually suggested by Brother Chase. So this is
a Brother Chase joke.
yeah. So if this bombs, it is Brother Chase's fault.
All right.
All right.
blame
So
him for that.
so here we go. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. Make sure I have it. All right. Here we go. So I was home for Christmas, and my parents cooked a beef tenderloin, and I said to them, "Man, Budapest is going to love this." And they asked me, "Who's Budapest?" And I said, "Well, I named my stomach Budapest because it's the capital of Hungary." And that's when they stopped calling me son.
That's very involved. I like that. I like
Yes.
that. That's a good one. I think Brother Chase should get some good credit.
Yes.
for that.
Round of applause for Brother Chase on that.
Yes, right. We are doing that in our hearts. And our listeners maybe in theirs as well. All right. Well, good joke to get us started
Yes.
and laughing and going on this Wednesday. Okay. We're in the book of James, reading through the book of James. Not taking us too long to get through it. Chapter a day and not many in it, but we are at chapter 4. And why don't you go ahead and give us our verse that we're going to talk about?
Sure. And a portion of James 4:4 today reads, "Know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God?" James 4:4.
Okay, a lot to unpack there.
Yes.
In that short sentence you said, but let's try to do that a little bit. So, what do we have here? We have some pretty big things that James gives us here in this verse, and one of those is specifically the reference to the world here. So the world is that collective kingdom that's really set apart from God's kingdom. And the kingdom of the world is very different from God's kingdom in several ways. I mean, it's different in what they admire and what they seek, and ultimately what they do, their actions. So let's take that thought for a second, okay? The world as it's referenced here, the kingdom of the world, and let's develop that thought. How are they different? How is the kingdom of the world different than the kingdom of God?
Well, I think one of the first things that comes to my mind is fame. They're looking at, I mean, just look at social media, right?
Yeah.
What are, all these big companies or, Hollywood, what is everything geared around? It's about, celebrities or, oh, this person. I mean, even on your personal social media accounts,
Yeah.
what is it about? Oh, how many likes did I get? How many followers do I have?
Yeah, very true.
And not I'm not saying delete your social media accounts, but it is centered on, okay, who's seeing this? Who is actually paying attention to me?
Yeah.
And the world lifts that up.
Yeah, glorifies it for sure. And there is a willingness to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Right?
for sure.
To gain the following or to gain the fame.
I gotta park on this point, because when
Yeah.
you said that, there's actually, and some of you, no offense to those who actually might have done this, but they actually have places I've seen in the malls now where for social media they have like these little rooms that you can go in where it's like, oh, take a picture here, and it's like all these little photo booths and all this stuff, to basically set up a mock scenario for a good picture to post on social media, and you pay money.
Yeah,
to
like
do
a
that.
selfie park or something.
Yeah, I forget. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah,
but
I don't know either.
I've seen it, and I was like, apparently it's a good business, and they're making money off of that. And
Yeah.
not that there's anything wrong with that, but it just goes to show they're making money on that because they know that people really care about fame and people seeing them.
Right,
So.
right. Getting noticed and do whatever, and there
Popularity.
That's why there's some really embarrassing videos online of people doing really dumb stuff, But anyway, the chasing of fame, absolutely different than God's kingdom. I'd add to that, and I'd say, that goes along with it. Often when people are chasing fame, they're chasing money, right? And, just this, do whatever you have to do to make the most that you can, so that you can live the way that you want. And, people, again, break through all kinds of barriers to try to make money. And sometimes it's by noble means, maybe. Other times it's they deceive, they step on, they do whatever they have to do in order to make the buck, which is, it's sad to see, but obviously no one in God's kingdom should be behaving that way. This is sort of some tell signs of someone who is a part of, the world's kingdom. So what else, though?
Yeah, I'd say just chasing after whatever pleases them. I mean, we kind of, that could be encapsulated in a bunch of different ways. Money pleases them, fame pleases them, just like we said before. But, just having a thought of, okay, does this make me happy? Okay, well, I'm going to do it then. And not that there's anything wrong with, we all have our personal preferences and our hobbies and things that we enjoy. And there's nothing wrong with that unless it starts taking the place of things that should be higher in your life, such as, following God,
right,
helping others.
Right.
And if you start getting things out of order, and that's what you see the world do. They chase after pleasure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's whenever you see commercials on TV of, people, drinking or in a bar, and it always looks like they're having a good time, right?
Yep.
That's what they're trying to chase after.
Yes, right.
So
and all of those vices, because let's face it, a lot of those pleasure-filled experiences and things are vices, but they're not being presented as such. No. I mean, certainly the advertisements for alcohol, never show the path of, destruction.
Right.
That alcohol wreaks in people's lives, and you could say that for a lot of, pleasureful, things that people chase after. But yeah, that's their MO. That what are you living for? Well, the next pleasureful experience.
Yeah.
So it's sad. And then last of all, maybe we could say, just to focus on self. There is just a supreme focus on self in our world today. And we talked a little bit about it recently in Teen Time, where the Lord says, people get caught up in their own things, but they ought to follow Christ, not their own things, and be focused on self. So yeah, those are some ways in which the world's kingdom are different than that of God's kingdom. So those things do set apart. Christians seek other things aside from those that the world seeks. So what else, though, do we see in this verse? We see the word friendship. And I think that we really need to talk about, because we talk about, okay, they're different. We've seen those, and it can be, it can be harmful for the Christian to be in a worldly setting, so to speak. But what does the word friendship here entail? What are we talking about when we say that?
Yeah, I like what you actually put. For those of you who have already read the devotional for today, what Brother Scott wrote in here says, a person who's connected himself to the world and has an admiration for it. And I think it's important that we park kind of on those points, because there's a difference between being friendly to somebody
Yeah.
and being friends and actually having a friendship or a deep relationship with them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's a you can meet somebody out of the blue or be introduced to somebody and have a conversation with them and hit it off really well, but you really know nothing about them, and you
Yeah.
can be nice to them, treat them with respect, and walk away and say that was a good conversation.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between that and you talking with your best friend. You're like, hey man, I just having a really rough day. You share things that
Yeah.
are deeper, and there's a closer bond and connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you think of that in that light, that's what James is saying here.
Yeah.
Is that it's not okay, well, stay away from, don't talk to anybody that's
Yeah, right.
unsaved.
Isolation.
Don't witness.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
go near them. Just,
Right.
live in your
Right.
perfect little,
Yeah.
home and don't go out. He's saying don't form that close bond with those people because
Yeah.
that can be destructive.
Right. Yeah. And it's I think another way we could say it is maybe it's good, it's healthy to have a healthy fear of worldly ideology. Mm-hmm. Maybe that word's too big for our podcast here, but not be scared of the world.
Right.
Right. It's not like, oh, I can't talk to them because they don't know Christ and they're not a part of Temple Baptist Church.
Right.
It's not that, but we should be afraid of the effect that their ideology, their belief system, the kingdom that they're a part of and believe in and seek after can greatly affect us.
Yes.
Should the ties become strong.
Yes.
And the connection becomes strong, and all of those things that can go with it. And how do we know when we're too close? I think these are legitimate questions, and I think parents can help out a ton in this area because it is a slippery slope, mm-hmm. and it's not long before we can easily get on that path where we start loving the very same things that they love. Mm-hmm. So probably a warning there that we should all be very careful of. Did you have anything to add to that? Or?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's important for us to remember that this is something that I wouldn't say necessarily you have to be careful with just around unbelievers. Like, okay,
mm-hmm.
For people that go to, public school,
yeah.
Okay, well, I've got to be careful. You got to be careful around other Christians too.
Yeah, it's very true.
It's
very true.
Christians. It doesn't mean that just because they're a Christian doesn't mean that they're not acting like the world.
Right.
I think it's almost more dangerous when you're in a setting with other believers that are going down the wrong path, because then you're in a situation where it's like, they're saved. We're all going to heaven.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I kind of I'll slide and let this. I'll do this as well.
There is such thing as a worldly Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that can be a great pull away from following Christ closely. So, these are great points. So, but for the person, let's say, okay, they do have those close ties with the world. Mm-hmm. They are following those social media accounts that just reek of worldliness.
Yeah.
And they have been pulled in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where does that put us as believers in relation to our relationship with God? And I think that's where this verse comes in. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, I think we were talking about this before, but Matthew 6:24, I feel like is a perfect verse that kind of sums this up. Mm-hmm. It says, "No man can serve two masters, for he will either hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon, or God and man." So I feel like that's what do they call it? You act one way on Sunday, and then the rest of the week you're a completely different person.
Yeah,
I feel
hypocrisy.
Exactly. I feel like a lot of times, as a lot of Christians, and I mean, I've seen this even in my own life, where it's you know how to act in church. You do a certain thing, but then the rest of the week it is like, okay, you're not in that Christian environment, and it's easy to get sucked into the world and worldliness, and you can become complacent and just put it in neutral and go with the flow of wherever you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we've got to remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that, okay, well, I'm neutral to it, or I'm not participating. It's like you are if you are not with God, you're against Him, and
Yep.
that's really
Yep.
somber. It's a sobering thought when you think of that.
Yeah, 100%. And the verse says it so clear that friendship with the world is enmity with God. So in
Yeah.
other words, when we stand with the world, we're really standing against God
Yeah,
and everything that His kingdom, stands for. And that's a dangerous place to be. It's a ineffective place to be as
Yeah, that's a
well.
good point.
Because our light, becomes dim.
right. God can't use a dirty vessel.
Yeah. Well, this has been a good discussion, Brother Sam, and I think that, especially for teenagers, boy, the pull of the world is so strong.
Yeah,
And Satan has more tools today, I really believe that, than ever before at trying to draw our attention away from Christ. And not to say that technology across the board is bad, because it's obviously not, and there's a whole lot more people being reached with the gospel today because of technology. But at the same time, we as Christians have to be very vigilant, make sure that we don't become a friend of the world.
absolutely.
In that way. All right. Well, very good. Appreciate you being here, Brother Sam. Before we go, I want to mention our teenager of the day, and as we're praying for Malika. So take some time to pray for her. I know she would be appreciative of that. And Brother Sam, like always, thanks for coming.
Yep, happy to be back and get rolling on this again. See you guys next week.
Sounds good. Take care.